Welcome to July. 2020 is now half over. It's unbelievable as we walk into this month. Everything that we've seen happen throughout the beginning of this year. And even this past month, we've had a lot more of you join us on this journey of rhythms and looking at, okay, how do we not just pursue God at one point in our day, but consistently throughout our day? And as part of that, one of our key tools in our rhythms is the idea of a meditation passage. In other words, a passage that we're coming back to day after day after day to let it really sift through our lives, to not just think about how it impacts one moment, but to think about how it impacts every aspect of our life. And so every day we're coming back to this passage. And this month, I want to take us to a passage that was actually part of our reading plan this past month. And it may have stood out to you. It stood out to me. And I want to give us a chance, like I said, just to sit with it, to allow it to really soak into who we are. Later on in the book of Romans, Paul talks about how God is working to transform our minds, to change the way that we think about Him, about us, about the world around us. And what we want to do is we want to allow this passage to do that in our lives. The passage that I want to take you to is found in the book of Romans. It's actually found in chapter 4. And listen to what it says. Paul's walking them through an understanding of grace, the unbelievable things that Jesus has made possible. And listen to what he says as he's explaining it. He says, "For the scriptures tell us, Abraham believed God and God counted him as righteous because of his faith." And in this moment, he's talking about how you don't earn your way back to God. It's because of his faith, because of how he trusted God, because of how he acted on what God had told him was true about him, about the world, about his future. For the scriptures tell us, Abraham believed God and God counted him as righteous because of his faith. When people work, their wages are not a gift, but something they have earned. He says if it was because of our work, then it wouldn't be a gift, it'd be something that we earn, but that's not the way it is with God. He says, for people are counted as righteous, not because of their work, but because of their faith in God, who forgives sinners. What a powerful line. Who forgives sinners. David also spoke of this when he described the happiness of those who are declared righteous without working for it. Oh, what joy for those whose disobedience is forgiven, whose sins are put out of sight. Yes, what joy for those whose record the Lord has cleared of sin. Let me just read that again. Oh, what joy for those whose disobedience is forgiven, whose sins are put out of sight. Yes, what joy for those whose record the Lord has cleared of sin. Let me ask you, do you believe, God, that your record has been cleared? Do you believe that God is a God who forgives sinners? Do you just believe that intellectually, or do you actually believe that about Him? Have you experienced that in Him and with Him? As we move through this month, I want us to come back to this over and over and over for it to soak into us, because for many of us, we have to change who we think God is. And I don't just want this to change our experience. I want it to transform our minds, to change how we view Him, how we see Him, for us to recognize this incredible truth, not just of what He's made possible, but who He is. That we would further awaken to the beauty of our God, the beauty of our Father. May we this month continue to reshape how we understand Him, and I believe that will drastically shift how we approach Him. this month, remember the powerful reality that our God is a God who forgives sinners, who sent his son, so that your record and my record could be clear. Have a great month.